good evening again, and welcome to the Shake Up with Dr. Kit. It's 6 p.m., a little bit after that now, every Monday evening we're on the air. And I thank all of you that just come on with us, just hang out with us for about an hour. We have a lot of very interesting information that we want to give to you, and we do give to you every week. So, so again, we just want to thank you, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of preamble this week. It's the shake it up, get everything moving, so everything can kind of blend together, and we give you a different perspective on things when we go through that process. All right, and so listen. One of the things we'd like for you to do, because this is one of many great podcasts that there are that you can get some really good information from. And so we'd like you to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. It is the lifeblood of this and all podcasts. Please do that. There are a lot of good people out there. So there's some really good info that you need. Okay, so do that. And then, of course, we'd like for you to consider being, a part of the program. Just come on one week, and just be with us. More than 1 week if you'd like to. And just go to Dr. Kit Speaks at Gmail. And if you go to Dr. Kit Speaks at gmail.com, and you'll get in touch with my staff, and they will walk you through the process of becoming a guest on the show. Now, you can be on camera, you can be off camera, but either way, we just love to have you, because y'all got some really good information. And how do I know that? Because you all put some things in the chat. No, then I'm going to throw some good things in the chat tonight, okay, as you do all other nights. So just go ahead and do that, and we'd like for you to come on and just share some of those things personally on here. It's not as intimidating as you think it might be. All right. So with that said, we have a returning guest with us. She did such an amazing job, and the problem with that was that she only got through a part of what she is all about. Wonderful young lady. Very family oriented, very spiritual, very community oriented, community activist, activating for people's rights and people's needs and what's best for people. So I just thought we'd have her back on, especially since it's Black History Month. She is not a Black history person in the making. She is here just growing to greater and greater heights as she goes through life, intervening in the community across the board, no matter the race, gender, or other peculiarities. Okay, that's the way she is. All right, so right now we're going to bring her back on, and as always, she's going to tell you her name. Hey, Mia, how are you? And I don't like messing up people's bios. So I say, hey, listen, I could get them, but I just like people I just like to hear it from people, the way they are, the way they express, that they experience themselves. So Mia, go right ahead and talk to us, introduce yourself, reintroduce yourself to some for the first time to others, and then tell us what you are going to talk about. And by the way, I hope to segue some of that into some of the things you and I have been talking about here recently.
Yes, that's good. Let's go. Let's do it. That's good.
All right. And I still like the picture behind you. How come I can't get a nice picture like that?
I can tell you where I found it. I can tell you.
Listen, hey.
Yeah, but yours is awesome. The what you have is awesome.
Okay.
Failure is the enemy of success. Mercy.
Yes, it is. It is. Fear of enemy of success. All right, listen, Mia, you go right ahead and you tell us again who you are. Remind us who you are. We didn't forget, but just go through the process and then tell us where you want to take us tonight, because this is really good.
Oh man, I believe that, Dr. Kit. For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Mia Pyle, and I am a mental health first aid instructor. I'm duly certified, so I am blessed to be able to train the everyday person and professionals that need it how to recognize signs and symptoms of mental illness, and also how to respond appropriately, and how to connect a person to help, okay, if they need it.
All right.
And I love that course because I feel like it's something that I really needed as I went through my own mental health crisis and found myself in a behavioral health hospital, no longer wanting to live. And after I got out, learning these tools have really changed my life. And so that's what I do.
So
Um,
that
and I guess there's a lot of who I am, but
let
we
me
can
let me
start there for now.
okay. Let me just ask you this, and I don't know. You can say as little as as you want to, or none really. But I'm just interested, to know because I've worked with people in various institutions across the state. They call them mental health centers and mental
Sure.
health, long term and short term and
Mhm.
outpatient and inpatient. And I've worked with some, gone inside and to work with others. And because you've had your experience of that, I'm sure some of the people may may have been in those situations, or at least they have family members or they know people, and we don't get to understand it the way it is. And just if you answer that, you can kind of just segue that into introducing what you're going to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. Everyone's experience with behavioral health and mental health professionals is different.
Right.
I believe that God really blessed the time that I had in behavioral health. And so the way I would have thought of behavioral health before was that's the place where people go that run down the street butt naked and talk to themselves and they're crazy and, that's those people. And I never thought that I would be kind of one of those people in the sense that there I was in that hospital in that blue jumpsuit, as it were. And my experience was bathed in the Holy Spirit. I know that God met me there. You talk about how some people think God's only at church or only in your prayer time,
Right.
right? He's only in the sanitized places.
Hmm.
But the Lord met me there again while I was cursing him and cursing my life and very disturbed and unhappy with the way things were going, unresolved trauma. For those who may have not been on before, I talked about, having my sister be abducted. And that was a horrible situation. And while we got her back, I didn't realize how much of an impact that trauma had on me, especially when I became a new mom. And so in the behavioral health hospital, one of the beautiful things I experienced was actually testimony time by some of the guests.
Hmm.
It was amazing because here I am, angry with God, and they fed us very well. They had us go to classes and group, and of course they're trying to medicate you and help you in that regard. But there were a group of people sitting around testifying and talking about God, which shocked me.
Wow.
And I remember just a little story. There was a man there. I never forget, he got up and he said, "You guys, I want to thank God I'm only hearing one voice today." And for me, I lost it. All my southern graces went out the window and I snap on this man. I'm like, "You can't, be hearing, voices and praising God like you're crazy, I'm crazy, we're all crazy. What's wrong with you?" And he looked me in my eye and he said, "Mia, you will see," which I don't remember telling him my name, by the way, but he said, "Mia, you will see." And I'm like, "You'll see what? What will I see?" I'm so angry. He said, "You're going to see the goodness of God, Mia. You're going to see the goodness of God in your life."
Mm,
And when I
yeah.
went back, right, right. And so I didn't want to hear that, but I remembered that that man witnessed to me. This man who's hearing voices and only hearing one today was witnessing to me. And I went back to my cell with my crayon because you can't have anything sharp. And I just began to write to God again, something I used to do as a missionary. I started writing to God and just saying, "God, if you're real, you've got to get me out of here because I don't know how I would get out of here, if I'd ever want to get out of here," but he did. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I want to talk about today.
Right ahead.
Yeah, the power of recovery. Like, for those who are watching, if you don't remember anything else, especially if you yourself are battling, or if you know someone who's battling with their mental health, I want people to know that recovery is always possible. Recovery is always possible. It may look different for every person, but it's always possible, and you couldn't have told me in that moment that I would actually savor life and want to live again, or that I would stop having nightmares or intrusive thoughts or battling with psychosis. How about that?
Mm,
Right? You couldn't
mm.
have told me that I would be here on the Shake Up with Dr. Kidd talking about how I've been able to overcome and am still overcoming.
I like what you just said, because what you said, you're still overcoming. In
Hmm.
our belief system, we talk about sanctification of the work of a lifetime,
Yes.
and overcoming is the work of a lifetime. It's not a snap your finger one and done.
Yes.
It is. But also, I want to tell you, like, right up front, like right now, I just applaud you for just being so open and so vulnerable in a very positive way about parts of your past, that you don't run up a flagpole and say, hey, 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 this is me, but you are willing to do this for your own growth and for the growth of others. Now, talking about that, the
Yeah.
other piece is, how'd you go from a missionary to you understand me? Doing the work of the Lord, to being mesmerized by this, well, the other sources. Let me just put it like that.
Sure.
So how
Well,
can you address some of that?
absolutely. So, for me, I grew up in a lower income community, right? And I mean, my parents, they really did a good job of trying to shield us from many things. However, life is life. And I remember, just trials, tragedies, and traumas happening in our community even before my sister's abduction. Um, and so those were things that I was wrestling with. And we talked about that last time about believing God as a superhero. Well, long story made short, I would eventually become a missionary. Some Bible workers, as they call it, would come to my home and start to talk to me about the book of Revelations and all the powerful things that are found in the Bible. And I wound up giving my life and my heart to God at that time. And that really just led me on a journey to becoming a missionary, where I was blessed to travel to over 12 countries, right? And that was another situation where I never really left past my 6 blocks, until I gave my life to God. And that was when so many doors actually started opening for me. And so, as a missionary, we get to help build schools, churches. It drove me deeper into the Bible. It was there that I began to encounter people who actually were under demonic influence and they were possessed, as we say. And I remember thinking, wow, the Bible is real. Like, the Bible is real. Like, we read about people being possessed and God casting demons out of them. And then here it is happening right here on the mission field before my very eyes. Things
Yeah,
that were recorded, by the way. You
yeah,
see witch doctors giving their lives to God and people being healed of wounds they've had forever. Literally, my husband was a part of a situation where a lady hadn't walked in years, and she got up and walked in front of them because they had been praying and laying hands on her. And so God became very real to me as a missionary because I got to see the Bible come to life. And
hmm,
so it was really interesting when I was battling with my mental health to kind of feel like none of that mattered under so much pain and duress, and to kind of feel like I really forgot about how powerful I'd seen God move and what I'd seen him do. Because I think, and you can talk more about that, Dr. Kidd, that's a part of the illness of mental health of your brain going undergoing such changes, that I really forgot all that God had already done for me and how he could help me. And I really blamed him for why I was sick. And so that just led to more illness.
you know, when on the cross, Jesus said, it was, and in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus was wondering, where's my Father now that I need him?
Yes,
Why have you forsaken me? And
yes.
so, as a missionary and going into that decline, did you kind of feel at any time that God, where are you right now? Why have you forsaken me? Because I hear people say this,
Yeah.
from time to time, that they wonder where God is. And they will tell me they do all of these things that they do, and they're in a right relationship with God. They pray and they do all of these things, but that's going to lead into your subject matter of how you grow. And I,
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that. I'm going to let you
There you
introduce.
go. It's how we're gonna be able to talk forever. It's so it doesn't matter however you want to do it, but I love what you're asking because the thing is, and this is another thing that I think is really important for listeners to get, is that mental health, spiritual health, physical health, they are all influenced by each other, but they can be separate things that are happening to you. And so when we think about that veteran who was telling me, I thank God, or telling the group, I thank God I'm only hearing one voice today, spiritually, he loved God. His hearing voices had more to do with him having PTSD, right? And psychosis. There was something happening chemically in his brain that needed to be resolved and brought to conclusion with therapy and perhaps medication, right? That but that didn't mean he didn't love God and he wasn't devoted to God. And that was something that I had to wrestle with because I remember feeling ill and feeling like very paranoid, because of the things that had happened to myself and also my family members. I couldn't settle the thought that what's going to happen to my daughter. Is somebody going to take her? And that thought went to somebody is trying to take her. And that thought went to they're in this house or they're at the store with me or they're following me. It got really out of control. But someone would listen and be like, oh, yeah, Satan got a hold of her. She became demon possessed. But that's not what that was. My mind had become unsettled and imbalanced because there was unresolved trauma. And this is just my personal belief, and I want to hear what you think about this, Dr. Kit. But in my personal belief and my personal experiences, I see Satan as an opportunist. So that idea of I like to kick you when you're down. So just because I'm battling mentally does not mean that I'm possessed, but now here he is to help facilitate that reality, right? For those who will be open to that. And so I don't know what you think about that. I want to hear what you think about that.
Well, I think of course, Satan is an opportunist.
Yeah.
He tried that in heaven. He was definitely an opportunist at the tree in
Right.
the garden of Eden. It was opportunity, and so now, not now here, he is still looking for an opportunity
Hmm.
to mesmerize people, take them out of the world of reality where they can get in touch with God's word and give their lives to the Lord. And so yes, he is still doing that. But I'm going to put another spin on it.
Bring it out.
I'm going to do a little reframe here.
Okay.
Every time, every time the devil kicks you down, I know that the Bible says, fall 7 times, you get up. But I'm good taking it another way. I'm gonna say every time the devil kicks you down, it's an opportunity, and it's and I heard this from Pastor Miller a couple of weeks ago. It's
Yeah.
an opportunity to say, God, I didn't know you could trust me with this.
Yes.
And you hear what I just said?
Powerful.
God, I didn't know that you could trust me with this.
Mm.
So I will not complain.
I love that. I love that. And see, that is so important. And that is one of the things that I believe leads to the turnaround when we think about well-being of any kind is that reframe you just said. Because my thought process was God's hand must be against me. What sin have I committed that I'm experiencing this? Why can't I sleep? I am praying. I'm praying faithfully. I'm fasting. But I'm a new mom, right? And I'm not thinking about hormonally what's happening to me. I'm thinking about in the spirit realm, God, what's wrong? What have I done? The spirits, all of this, and becoming more and more unwell because I'm not thinking in that reframe that, wow, God is trusting me with this. He's
Mhm.
not against me. He's for me. He's with me. And now I start to use the wrong tools for the wrong things. Like, one of the things that I strongly believe also is that prayer is one of the first steps and most important things that we can do with our health, but it's not the only step. For instance, if a person has diabetes, they can continue to pray, but if they don't start making health changes or
Yeah,
possibly take medication to get things under
yeah.
control, they are going to, diabetes will eventually take over, right?
Mhm.
And it won't be because their prayer wasn't powerful enough. It will be because that wasn't the only thing to do. And I believe that in mental health as well.
So in other words, you're talking about in everything that we do in prayer. Okay, we need to get into partnership with the Lord.
All right now.
You know, we need to be in partnership with the Lord. Said, you know, Lord, I want to partner with you. You know how you partner with other people to do things. Why
Yeah,
not partner with the Lord? Because He's a sure winner. Now we're talking about
sure,
this.
sure.
You know. So we've talked a lot about this, but but there is something, an organization that you have, and you know, and how it can really help people, and your particular story about how you can grow through your pain is a catalyst
Yeah,
for growth. You
yeah.
know, let's kind of do a segue, kind of a switch a slide over into that and see where we take it with that. So go right ahead. Go right ahead with that.
Well, I love that you said that, and honestly, that partnership with God
Yeah.
is what did it. Not because I partnered myself with Him, but because He had actually partnered Himself with
Come on
me.
now.
And
Be
you know what I'm saying?
with us.
Yeah, because while I was, what the scripture says, while we're yet his enemy, he's there, and so I honestly had given up. And when I got out of the behavioral health hospital, I was still very much suicidal and I really didn't have a lot of hope. However, I had gotten enough sleep and medication to kind of help me think better. And so, God partnered with me. I remember my husband, he was driving me to Wildwood, the Wildwood Lifestyle Center, which is in
Hmm.
Wildwood, Georgia, for those who may need to go there. And of course, to go there, you do have to have your mental health under some type of maintenance. You wouldn't go there manic or anything like that. But he was taking me there for their depression recovery program at the time. And he said to me, Mia, when you get through this, I see you on stages. I see you on stages helping many people. And me, I just kind of roll my eyes like, whatever. Oh, here we go. God wants to use me. I was very angry and cynical. Oh, he wants to use me to, this is unfair, is what I'm thinking. And anyway, that was how Pain Unwasted was honestly birthed. The
Okay.
idea that our pain is not a waste. That's our organization, painunwasted.org, right? You
Could
can
you
see it
tell us
online.
how did you come up with that name, pain? Because it's very powerful. It's potent. There's some potent stuff inside. Pain unwasted. Now you're asking me to embrace my pain. Come on, nah, Mia, we got to go around a couple of blocks on that one. Now, come on.
Let's go. Honestly, my husband, once again, I just want to take a moment to thank God for a good husband, for a great man, because he has been the person to push me, to help me embrace the experience as something that could be used for God and for good. And so he honestly came up with the name Pain Unwasted. And I love that because I truly believe that God, and it came from a story um from in college, where a woman, she had unfortunately lost her daughter and she'd been found in a garbage can. She'd been praying, and yet she still praised God. She used that pain that she'd experienced to still give God praise. To us college students who were looking at her like, what in the world, and
Mm,
I had an encounter with God in my dorm room after that, where I heard the Holy Spirit tell me, your pain is not a waste. What I had gone through at that, up to that time, God was letting me know it was not a waste and it was going to help people. Now, however many years later from that college experience, here we were again, faced with trauma, faced with trials, and
mm.
God is saying the same thing. Your pain is not a waste. I don't waste your pain. I don't just inflict you just because, you know. And it's important to know that all affliction is not coming from God, right? That's the story of Job. It's Satan who's actually doing the inflicting. God is allowing this, and and I don't want to get too deep into that, or I do want to get deep in it, but I mean, I don't want to be, what I want to say is that I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the title Pain Unwasted, because that's what it's about. It's about using what we've been through to help empower ourselves and others.
I'm thank you for that. But I'm also thinking that the title, and your husband's a genius, right?
He's awesome, actually.
I'm going to have
And
to
cute,
tell him
and cute.
that. I see. We
Yeah.
got to get you on the show too.
No, he's powerful. Actually, Victor is really an awesome guy. He's
you
really
know,
great.
but but to say all of that, that your pain, it was not wasted. It meant that God had a plan for you, that he already knew the beginning and the end, and you just had to trust him to allow him to walk you through that. To not, this is not like David going through the valley of the shadow of death. This is God going through what he already knows, because he's omniscient. He already knows and sees all things. And all you had to do was, be obedient, man. Just to
Right.
be obedient and to trust the Lord. So pain on wasted. How did you make that a part of your experience? Can you
Right.
talk on
Right. And so that's so good, because we're just talking about how the pain can be our can lead to greater.
that? Right.
And wow, God is so good. And that's another reason why I believe in him and why I love him, because I don't see any other God or deity offering that. The idea that I can I can make beauty out of ashes, you know? And you know this from your extensive psychology background, which is massive, and I'm so grateful to be able to interact with you, by the way, because
Nope.
you are a man of
Yeah.
large experience. I'm not saying that to, I'm just saying that is who you are. But like, you know this from your extensive experience, how important it is for people who have been in trauma, or people who are struggling, to be able to find meaning, to make meaning out of the things that they have experienced, and to find meaning in that. Viktor Frankl, from the Holocaust, his book about that, so meaning finding is extremely important for those of us who want to get well, right? Who actually don't want to make this a thing all about us, and I
Mm.
just want people to pity me and have a victim mindset the rest of my life. But
Yeah.
if I want to be made well, then being able to find meaning is helpful. And so it's been so healing for me to be able to meet other people who have experienced rape, who have experienced abduction, who have experienced, being mentally unwell, and to let their family members know, or them know, hey, this doesn't have to be the end of the story. You can overcome this. And the reason I know is because God is helping me to overcome it. And this is how far I've gotten so far, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And just to see their eyes well up with tears because they met me on a stage, like my husband said, you know what I mean? Or in a seminar or a classroom, in a Fortune 500 company business, and they're hearing this and knowing that it's okay to not be okay, and I can be okay again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying here. That people met you on a stage, but I'm big on reframing.
Nice.
I'm really big on reframing.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and so there is a difference between the stage you're going to go on to
Yeah.
as opposed to the stage you're on.
Yeah.
So when your husband said you're going to be on the stage, great. But you were on a stage. God put you there so that you could impact people in a way
Yeah.
that if he did not trust you with with your affliction. And if you did not allow him
Yeah.
to work on you through his affliction, he had you on his stage at
Yeah.
that time as an apprentice.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
As an apprentice. And you know what apprentices do? Apprentice, they
Mhm.
follow the leader, and the
Yes.
leader direct the apprentice. And the apprentice never go ahead of the leader. They're always in touch with the leader, walking behind, walking beside. And so God had you, I believe, as his apprentice. So that and what does the journeyman do? He or she pours everything into the apprentice that the apprentice need to
Yeah.
graduate and become a journeyman and go, part of the disciples.
That's beautiful.
You understand that, all of these. If you take a look at the disciples and the apostles, they were a journeyman, and what they were doing was creating, working with these apprentices. Jesus was the greatest man. Jesus had 12 apprentices, didn't he though?
He did. He did.
He had, and then he said, "Go and make disciples."
Yeah. I love that. Can I jump in there on what you're saying right there? Man, that's so powerful. That and see, that's another reason why I love God and I love the Bible, because I think a lot of times when I was reading the Bible before, I thought the Bible was about, was just, or I thought the Bible was about, okay, I'm a sinner, God is my savior, give your life to him so you can go to heaven. And I thought that's what the Bible is trying to teach me. But when I'm looking at the journey of Jesus as our discipler, as our what did you what word did you use?
I use the word journeyman. Journeyman.
As our journeyman.
Journeyman mean a person who has been down through the journey
Yeah.
of apprentice, and now they are on the journey, and one of their responsibility is to take other people on that journey with them.
Yes. So I love that because I was seeing that from new eyes from having been ill. I
Right.
was seeing the Bible in a new light, that Jesus, our journeyman, is showing us not only how to live right, like do this, do that, but it's about how to think right, right? How to reframe. His journey was helping them reframe who they believed God was.
Yes.
Right? Like the way I believe right now is actually not helpful. It's toxic. It's not the truth, right? But as I continue to walk with you, Jesus, my journeyman, you begin to unveil and unlock these lies that I believe about you, about myself, about my kindred, you know? And as the disciples continued to walk with their journeyman Jesus, they were healed. They were healed mentally. They were
Mhm,
healed socially. They
mhm.
were healed emotionally. They were prepared to go back and help others.
Absolutely, and that's it. So bringing it back to, see, I love this whole thing about pain unwasted.
Yeah.
How do you then talk to people in a way from your experience that can help them to tap into their experience so that they can believe that the pain was unwasted? Because I think a part of it is getting them to believe that going through the pain was not the worst thing. If you didn't go through the pain, you would not be where you are right now. The pain is a growth process. How do you, and I know you've been, you teach and you educate and you speak, how do you then work with people to get them from, I don't like this pain, and then you say, but it's unwasted. And when it's unwasted, I'm thinking that when they can see the outcome, and
Sure.
it's unwasted, how do you take them on that journey?
Awesome. Well, the funny thing is, or it's not really funny, but so one, I definitely stay in my lane. So my lane is not a therapist, as you are, or a counselor. My lane or my role is as a trainer. And so oftentimes when I do meet people who have been traumatized, hurt, and are attracted to the message that is given within my trainings, um, I get the privilege of actually living it out before them, what it
Mm.
could look like. And so while yes, I get blessed to be able to coach people and do some consulting, I don't walk people on that journey that a therapist does, right? I'm more like the bridge over the troubled waters in a sense, or like, those people who eat at Cheddar's. I don't know if people have Cheddar's in their city, but here in Huntsville, Cheddar's is a restaurant, and when you go there, they've got this like sweet croissant hot bread that they give you. It's not the meal. It's not the meal.
I'll see you. You stay right here. I'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, but it's the I'm the croissants at Cheddar's. You know what I mean? I get to connect the dots for people, so people who are afraid of therapy, people who feel burned out by therapy, like it wasn't helpful for them, people who've never been on the journey with the therapist and they're thinking about it. That's where we get to meet. And
Yeah,
so I get to talk with them and consult with them and hear their story and maybe share things that have been helpful for me, but then I connect them to that journeyman or to that journey woman or that person that's going to take them further down the road.
wonderful, and that is so great. But I do want to say that in this, all the every chain, if a chain that's so many feet long, it's got so many links.
Yes.
Links. And one of the links in working with the overall experience of a person is the cognitive side. And so you are
Mhm.
appealing to these are some of the things that you can do. So when you appeal to their cognition and it makes sense to them, then they can say to themselves, so now I understand why I'm feeling this way, because Mia explained it to me in such
Yeah.
a concise way that now I know what happened here. I know the relationship between what happened and how I'm feeling, and
Yes.
so now you bridge it so that they are more amenable to
Yes.
go see a therapist. So,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
yes, come on, Mia,
That's that's my
you're,
role,
you're,
and I love it. I
you're,
love I love being the bread at Cheddar's. I do. I really I love that role. I love it. And some people will decide, in going to some of the classes that I teach or, seminars, or maybe if they do some short stint one-on-one coaching with me, they may decide, I'm just going to stick with the Cheddar's bread right now. And that does happen, or they may think that that's all that they need at this moment, and so that does happen. But I love being that bridge. I love being. I want to go walking around with a shirt that says therapy, yes, okay, or yes, that YAAS or YASS, however they spell it. I just think everybody, their mama, their cat, their dog needs therapy. Everybody, everybody needs it.
cats and dogs. Come on, Mia.
Yes, 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 yes.
you know,
Everybody.
cats and dogs. But listen, talk about cats and dogs. I was working with this family some years ago, and they had a family dog, inside dog, but the dog was really the father's dog. It was his dog,
Yeah.
and he went to work. I'm talking about because you raised that. See, my mind is always into how can I use what somebody said to make sense out of something I want to tell you. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And that's what I do. So,
Good.
so, so the dog had this clock in his head. He would go to the door about 5 minutes before this man was ready to pull up to the front door. And he'll be wagging. He'd be running back and forth, wagging. Everybody knew Daddy was home.
Okay.
Everybody knew. And so this dog would do that like every day, like every day. And then, so you're talking about cats and dogs needing therapy. It may not be such a far off thing that you said.
Yeah. No, no, it isn't. Yeah.
And so one day, this man did not come home at the time he was supposed to. He came home. As a matter of fact, he did not come home. And you wanted to see a dog go into depression because they're telling me all of this. The family's telling me all of it. The dog went into depression, wouldn't eat, lost weight, was peeing and pooping all over the house.
Yeah.
All of these things. Why? Because the dog had lost the person to whom he was so attached to
Yeah.
at one with.
Yes.
You know, and so when you said dog and cat therapy, yeah, I'm hoping that veterinarians are able to help dogs through that because some of how they have these abused dogs and they really sad faced dogs. I'm just wondering if some of those dogs had gone through a loss that they did not recover from, and so finding a new home for them is a way of getting them to move and to work through. And so a new home will help them to work through. So it comes back to pain unwasted. How do you convince a person, if there is such a thing, that their pain is not wasted? And like I said, it's not like God is trying to hurt them or anything like that. God, it was, I think it's from the color purple. God is trying to tell you something.
Oh, God is trying to tell you something. Yes, yes.
No, you don't have to
Woo.
sing like that now. Come on now.
Okay. You know, this is going to sound wild, and you tell me, what you think about this.
Go
But
ahead.
I'm really coming to the conclusion that people will not be convinced unless they want to. That people decide whether or not they want to believe something. And
Right,
and
right.
and and here's one of my favorite authors. He says you get to believe what you want, but what you believe has power over you. And I mean, you get to be convinced of what you want to be convinced of, but whatever you choose to be convinced of, that will have power over you. Just like Adam and Eve in the garden, she chose to believe what the serpent had to say to her about who she was, what she had, instead of what God had to say. And that choice impacted all of us, as in my belief, right? And so for people who are watching this and maybe you are trying to work with a family member or loved one, or you're on your own journey, I really believe it's our personal responsibility to decide what we're going to believe. And things that help me, I think about, is this helpful and is it healthy, right? Like, since I get to decide, since I get to choose what I'm going to believe, then is it helpful? Is it healthy? Because some things are healthy, but they're not helpful right now or for me specifically.
Mhm.
And there may be some things that are helpful, but they're not healthy either, and so
You're
just really kind of balancing between the two of those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, being healthy and I'm glad that you raised that, you know, that it can be healthy and helpful, or helpful and healthy, or it can be both, or
Yeah.
one but not the other. But just because it's not healthy now,
Right.
it doesn't mean that it won't be healthy later on,
It's
because
true.
the information is helpful now, and so later on we say, you know what, me have been telling me this for the last 5 years. It's helpful now, but I've been living an unhealthy life all this time. So
Sure.
because it was helpful back then, I
Yes.
can now slide into a very healthy lifestyle. So your not only is your pain not wasted,
Yeah.
but also your information and the way you touch people not
Mm.
wasted. And I think that's important, to say the self is not wasted. When the self is used in a way to make contact with people, the self is not wasted either. Even when we think that the self is not doing what the self needs to do. And I
Ooh.
go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
go
When
on,
you said that, it made me think of something. I didn't want to cut you off. What were you going to?
go on.
Okay, so I want to know what you think about this, because an example would be, I remember I was binge eating, and this is before getting help, right? Doing a little rewind. And I was binge eating on chocolate bars, okay? And I was literally eating like 30 candy bars a day at that point, but and that was leading to me being manic, because now you can't sleep, all the caffeine. But I also remember, Dr. Kit, that I felt like if I didn't have that candy bar, that I was going to do something horrible to myself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so in a sense, the candy bar was not healthy, and to a degree it wasn't helpful, but it was helpful in that moment. You get what I'm saying? Like it in those moments it would dull the pain. You talking about addiction, right? It would dull the excruciating pain that I was in, and it did prolong my life to the point that I was able to get help, but it was also like that backstabbing friend. You know what I mean? So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I'll tell you exactly what I think about that. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this way. A client, again, go reach back into the annals of my time. Clients again.
Yeah.
This client told me something. And remember, I told you, that if I'm any good at what I do, is because I listen to my clients.
Hmm.
That's what I would tell every therapist out there. And this person said to me that, and at the time I was running a drug treatment program, and right here for the city of Huntsville,
Nice.
and so the client said to me, you know, uh, marijuana saved my life.
Hmm.
I said, well, okay, well, tell me some more. And he said, I was about to kill myself, and I took the last blunt, and then I was going to do it. But I took the last blunt. I took what I thought was the last blunt, and it just did something. He couldn't explain it, so I'm not going to try to explain. He said
Sure.
it did something to me, and when it did something to me, you, you know, yes, either a family member or a friend found me in my home, in my little crib, on the floor, knocking, beating the doors down, and they found me, and they took me somewhere and got intervention.
Intervention.
But if I had not smoked the marijuana, I would have done it like right away. So what I'm saying here is this:
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
when we reframe, the behavior might look bad, but it
Yeah.
might have a good outcome. And I
Sure.
think sometimes we need to take a look at the outcome and not just focus on the bad behavior. But something you said earlier on,
Yeah.
when you say what is yours thinking, and the Bible says, "Man thinketh, so is he." You, you know, um,
Yeah.
so whatever we're thinking, and you said this person told you that, we always act it out, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
We
Absolutely.
don't always, not sometimes.
Yes.
We will take some steps towards acting out something about what we believe. And so therefore then this is where Mia comes in, looking at certain types of behavior. You can say, I wonder what else is going on. I wonder what or who is in the driver's seat of this person's mind. You know.
Yes, that's huge. I mean, when you said that, it makes me think about another tool that I used and I use even now for my wellness. And I want to share it with our friends that are watching. And that is the power of your imagination. Because your imagination can be used for good or for evil. And you said that scripture, as a man or woman thinks, so is he or she. And when I look back on those experiences, my imagination, I was using it and didn't realize it. It was unresolved trauma. So my brain was doing what it was doing because it was not healed, right? And the brain will do that. It will create pictures and things of that nature, distortions, because it's been thrown off, for lack of a better way to put it, right now. However, the healing process of purposefully carving out time to imagine beauty, to imagine things working out, to imagine things going well, to imagine my life actually getting better, and even being splendid, you know? I believe that that is extremely powerful, and one of the ways that I was able to also get better through the power of God, you know? savoring that which was good, and really thinking about it, and creating those pathways in my brain so that my brain could act out that which I really wanted.
Thank you so much. We're going to end here in just a moment, but I got a couple of
Okay.
things. And, you know, sometimes I would walk people through, either a family or a group or whatever it is, through
Sure.
this whole idea of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, oh man, the name of that thing is not, excuse me, it's not coming to my mind right now. What I do, but I would talk them through this, and I would help them to create in their mind
Yes.
this peaceful place. You know, and when they come out of that, some people would be so tired because of what the peace led them to, and
Yes.
others would be so happy. They all have, have a different response to that. But I'm glad you said that, because using the creativity of the mind, okay, it is so powerful. It is not invasive because it's coming from the inside. No
Yes.
telling you what to do. You, it's almost like you're an artist. You're painting a picture that there is no picture of. You understand what I'm saying? You're not copying a picture. I mean, you're painting.
Yes.
You're doing this thing, and it's amazing. So there are so many ways of creating different, taking people through different experiences that can help them to go through. So tapping back into, and I'm going to give you the last word, into pain unwasted,
Mhm.
because when you begin to take them through those things, and they tap into their experience, because an experience is an experience. That's all it is.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
powerful. It's one of the most powerful thing a person can ever experience. It's an experience.
Experience.
You know,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
and so when they go through that, it's just so amazing, because they create that thing. And when they're creating this piece, basically blocks out everything else. And now the idea here is, how do you get them to maintain this peace while blocking out, and make that part of life that becomes that peaceful place that they can go every time they are feeling like they're distressed. They go back to that picture they painted in their mind and say, I'm going to go back there because it was so peaceful, so peaceful.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love what you're saying, and what I can say, if I think I'm understanding you correctly, I believe that we should carve out time to create that peace
Yes.
every day, and think about what are those things that make me feel peaceful, calm, happy, connected. We can use our senses, right? God gave us our senses to help us experience life, right? And so how can I create pleasant experiences with my senses that will be non-addictive, right? how can
Mhm.
i um how can I use my imagination for good? I heard that said one time, instead of evil. How can I create a reality in my mind that my mind will then start to work towards? How can I detox my mind? Which I love doing that. When we do some of our trainings, we help people with the brain detox, which they can find for free, by the way, at our website at painunwasted.org. But the
Okay.
brain detox is amazing when we're talking about going to greater, because the idea is there's toxicity here, and I can do this exercise and get it down on paper, right? And then always end with praise and thanksgiving. Just like you wouldn't go to the bathroom and do the number two and then not wash your hands. When you do a brain detox, your brain is doing a number two of sorts, and so it may feel negative or may feel heavy, but then being able to end well is so helpful, because we don't realize how many lies are swimming around in our minds just from being alive today. And so those are things that have really been helping me go to the greater experience that I want to have, instead of back into the place where I was. And I also, can I say this to Dr. Kidd, and I know we're almost out of time. I don't want to sit up here and look like, I just have it all together.
Yeah,
Because that would be not true. Like every day I have to make a choice. I have to decide, what I'm going to believe and what I'm going to do, because paranoia is always available for me. You know what I mean? Because my brain has that pathway.
right,
But using the tools that I've gained through therapy and through doing exercises and courses and research, I'm able to keep it away. Instead of controlling me, I can control it.
right. Mia, I just want to thank you so, so much. So much. You are a wealth of knowledge for me.
Mm, thank you. That's big.
I'm not. I'm not trying to placate you, and I'm just telling you that you are a wealth of knowledge for me, and you are on a stage that God has created and put you on.
Yeah.
And he put Daniel on a stage, the three Hebrew boys on the stage, he put the apostles on a stage. They were all on a stage, and they were all doing the Lord's work. Some over here, when you went overseas, you were doing it over there. But one of the things I really love about you is that you don't stop. You're always in your pain, and you've befriended your pain and allow it to become a part of your life, which is now a positive part of you as opposed to a negative part of you that you're running away from. So I
Absolutely.
just want to thank you so, so much. Thank you so much. Can you just shout out your contact number, and then again, or your contact info again, and we'll just close it down.
Sure. And thank you so much for having me on again. I really, really appreciate it and all that you offer us as, those of us who are clinicians or trainers and teachers, the experiences and your wealth of knowledge that you share with us. For those who do want access to the brain detox, it is free. You can also contact us at this same site, which is painunwasted.org, painunwasted.org.
Thank you, Mia.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll talk with you in just a moment. Well, that's it, folks. We're so thankful that you hung in here with us again. And wasn't she good? Isn't she good? Isn't she good? She is amazing. Painunwasted.org. If you want to have a speaker, I've listened to her speak a couple of times. She's very, very powerful. Very powerful. And as a person, she is so humble. You got to meet her to know this. And I know this. She's so good. So please go to painunwasted.org and book her. Book her to speak to a person, a group, or whatever. Please book her to speak. Okay. So thank you so much. All right. Listen, this is the end of this right now. And I'm going to close it out. So you know what you got to do, right? You got to what? You got to what? Come on now. You got to tell me what you got to do. We want you to share it, like it, share it, and subscribe. And follow. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. You got to do all this stuff. Like, follow, share, subscribe. So that you can have more of these kind of very powerful messages that's coming from our own people. And young, old, listen, I learned from everybody. I don't come on here thinking I know all this stuff. I learned a lot from Mia just talking to her on this platform, and even just talking to her at church. She is just a wonderful, calm person. So please, I thank you. And we'd love to have you come online to be a part of the program with us. All right. So how do you do that? You just send your info to drkidspeaks@gmail.com. drkidspeaks@gmail.com, and you will see, and you'll be in contact with my office. And also, if you'd like to see more of the work that I do, the work that I do in a broader scale, go to my website. It's drkitspeaks.com. DRKITSPEAKS.com. You'll go to that, will take it. That is my website. Okay. So you go on there, you'll see what else I do. All right. Thanks much. See you on next week. Be well. Have a good night and do some great things during Black History Month. Okay. You are Black history, not in the making. You are Black history now. All right. Be good. Bye bye.